up, residents? Jacob here. So some of you may remember when TOHO, the original Godzilla makers, were making all these claims that they were about to embark on a Godzilla takeover across the globe. Well, in short, what that really meant is that they were going to, get their franchise of Godzilla, of the whole monster thing, out to the rest of the world, where, you're able to buy more toys and merchandise and t-shirts and all sort of stuff like that. I'm sure you've seen a lot more Godzilla products in like Walmart and all that recently, right? But all their claims of them saying that they were making like their new version of the Monsterverse, specifically for the TOHO version of Godzilla, I don't think that's happening anymore. But what we are getting is a lot of cool little fan projects with TOHO getting their fingers involved. So apparently there's this thing called the Godzilla Festival, not to be confused with G-Fest, but this year's Godzilla Festival is celebrating one of the most famous TOHO Godzilla monsters ever and its 50-year anniversary, that being the cyborg Gigan. And so TOHO has released a new teaser trailer of sorts for their official fan film they are sponsoring and promoting called Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex. Obviously here on Dangerville that's a perfect title. Now this is a sequel to the 2019 fan film G vs. G, which believe it or not is not a rap song, and will be made by a production known as Gemstone, which from what I can take is like a Japanese short film company YouTube channel thing, I don't know. Now I don't know much about this Godzilla Festival, obviously it's just a big celebration for the big G-Man. But there is always a chance that some Monsterverse Godzilla news could be mentioned there as well, so come November 3rd, be on the lookout and make sure you are subscribed to Dangerville with the bell thingy slapped so you are up to date on any news. Speaking of the Monsterverse, I'm really expecting that Kong Skull Island anime trailer to come out any week now. Netflix really does this thing to where they don't release a trailer for their new animated series until like 2 weeks before it comes out. And so there's rumors going around that it's going to be this October, so really just keep an eye out on that, and you know what to do, subscribe to Dangerville, do all that stuff, and we'll let you know when that comes out. So we got a cool look at a brand new type of Godzilla, as well as some interesting takes on Gigan, so let's hurry up and break this little teaser trailer down. The first thing I want to point out is that this is obviously CGI, but it's some damn good CGI. For a fan film, this is pretty top of the line. I'd like to see more actual big rich millionaire billionaire companies make their animations look like this. So I gotta give them credit there. Everything here looks really kind of top of the line. It looks like a really good video game. This quick little scene shows 3 separate Gigans. Now, I don't think we've ever seen 3 of these monsters on the screen at the same time, and I know that these monsters are cyborgs and they're usually controlled by other kind of like aliens or bad guys, so I'm assuming in this short film these guys are being dropped down, they're probably doing some sort of alien invasion, and it's just kind of cool to see 3 of them on the screen at once. Godzilla's gonna be really tested in this. Speaking of the big old G-Man, look at this shot right here. Now, this Godzilla is pretty freaking cool. He definitely has that TOHO Godzilla thing going on to where he's, less animal looking and more just like this freak of nature monster, which, I really like the more animalistic takes on Godzilla coming from the Monsterverse. And yes, even the 1998 Zilla version, I like that he was a giant iguana, don't fight me. But if there was ever going to be a classic re-envisioning of the old school Godzilla done with modern technology and CGI, that right there is how you do it. His skin has gone back to looking like that burnt, scarred sort of vision that the original creators of Godzilla had for the monster, instead of, the basic scales like you see on a reptile. His head's all short and kind of human-like, and he's got kind of that cat snarl face going on. And apparently he performs as badass as he looks, because he catches this Gigan attack directly. Now this thing's flying at him, swiping at him with that big old claw hand, and he just catches it like, nah bruh, nah, you ain't gonna know where I'm Godzilla, don't you know who I am? This shot right here is pretty cool because it shows that Godzilla, even with the athleticism of a 90-year-old 500-pound man, he's able to somehow judge that attack coming down and just kind of sidestep a little bit like, oh, you gotta be faster than that. And it's just funny because he's like, has no athletic nature to him. Now, in classic Godzilla fashion, at one point, these three Gigan are going to get the upper hand on the King of the Monsters. We see in this shot right here. Look at Godzilla in the background there. That Gigan has him in like a full Nelson, like he's like your big brother back in the 90s, just like choking you out, and you're like, he's got him held up, and then the other Gigan's over here just, blasting its little laser beam directly at the, helpless Godzilla. And I really don't have any beef with that. I imagine the Godzilla theme song is going to start rumbling at some point, and he's going to get all pissed off looking and start kicking their ass. And of course, you can't have a proper Godzilla movie without at least showing the atomic blast once, and we get a nice little teaser of that in this trailer. And it looks good, it looks powerful. We get the classic him charging up, really like drawing it from the deepest depths of his insides, wherever that beam comes from. And he shoots it out and looks super powerful. It definitely is going to destroy whatever it hits. And so that's where this little teaser trailer ends. So everyone, remember that this is a fan film, but TOHO, the big, Godzilla original creators, do have their hands in the project. They're probably throwing them some money, some support. They're allowing them to use these monsters without being like, hey, that's gonna cost you $20 million. And it's nice to see TOHO, even though they're not making like their own movies or really putting much effort into it, they're just allowing more people to be able to have fun with Godzilla. They're allowing the fans to be able to grow the franchise more, and that's really cool. A lot of other franchises should really take note. And like, obviously the CGI isn't jaw-dropping, but you gotta remember this is probably being made from a small team of like 10 people. I mean, there might be more than that, but I imagine it's just a super compact team of just dedicated, people who love Godzilla and the classic TOHO monsters. So even though it doesn't look perfect and it's not like spectacular, I think it looks really good considering it is a fan short film. I mean, there's like $500 million video games being made these days that don't look like half this good, and then they just try to rip you off with microtransactions anyway. So like, this is good, and I think it's something you should probably consider supporting, or at least watching when it comes out on YouTube. I guess in early November. It's being released at that Godzilla Festival. I think it's November 3rd is when that is. And then expected to pop up on YouTube shortly after that. And of course, we're gonna cover it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little Godzilla news update. I thought you'd be interested in learning about this cool fan project that, TOHO, the original Godzilla creators, are helping out with. And in the meantime, stay tuned till next week on Dangerville, because I am making a Godzilla vs. the House of Dragons episode where we're going to take the big G-Man and place him against the dragons, the biggest dragon in the House of Dragons, Game of Thrones, Westeros, Ice and Fire franchise lore. They need to come up with like a more specific name, but you guys know that House of Dragons show has been really cool and been really popular. They need to show more dragons, but hey, I think it's a good time to kind of see how Godzilla would do against a legion, or at least a few of dragons, So stay tuned for that video, guys. This has been Jacob, and I will see you in the next one.